Hey guys, once more, third day in a row. Let's continue our reading of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, chapter 20, chapter 20, The Dainty China Country. Let's go. While Tin Woodman was making a ladder from wood which he found in the forest, Dorothy lay down and slept, for she was tired by the long walk. The lion also curled himself up to sleep and Dotto lay beside him. The Scarecrow watched the Woodman while he worked, and said to him, "I cannot think why this wall is here, nor what it is made of." "Rest your brains and do not worry about the wall," replied the Woodman. "When, when we have climbed over it, we shall know what is on the other side." After a time, the ladder was finished. It looked, it looked clumsy. It looked clumsy. It looked clumsy, but the Tin Woodman was sure it was as strong and would answer their purpose. The Scarecrow waked Dorothy and the Lion and Toto, and told them that the ladder was ready. The Scarecrow climbed up the ladder first, but it was so awkward that Dorothy had to follow close behind to keep him from falling off. When he got his head over the top of the wall, the Scarecrow said, "Oh my! Go on!" exclaimed Dorothy. So the Scarecrow climbed further up and sat down on the top of the wall, and Dorothy put her head over and cried, "Oh my!" just as the Scarecrow had done. Then Toto came up and immediately began to bark, but Dorothy made him be still. "I'm not a dog speaker. I don't speak dog language, but I bet this bark that Toto did meant oh my too." The lion climbed the ladder next, and the two woodmen came last, but both of them cried oh my as soon as they looked over the wall. When they were all sitting in a row on the top of the wall, they looked down and saw a strange sight. Before them was a great stretch of country, having a floor as smooth and shiny and white as the bottom of a big platter. Scattered around were many houses made entirely of china and painted in the brightest colors. These houses were quite small, the biggest of them reaching only as high as Dorothy's waist. There were also pretty little barns, with china fences around them, and many cows and sheep and horses and pigs and chickens, all made of china, were standing about in groups. But the strangest of all were the people who lived in its queer country. There were milkmaids and shepherdesses, with bright-colored bodices and golden spots all over their gowns, and princesses with most gorgeous frocks of silver and gold and purple, and shepherds dressed in knee breeches with blinking yellow and blue stripes down them, and golden buckles on their shoes, and priests with jeweled crowns upon their heads, wearing ermine robes and satin doublets, and funny clowns in ruffled gowns, with round red spots upon their cheeks and tall pointed caps. And strangest of all, these people were all made of china, even to their clothes, and were so small that the tallest of them was no higher than the Dorothy's knee. No one did so much as look at the travelers at first, except one little purple china dog with an extra large head, with, which came to the wall and barked at them in a tiny voice, afterwards running away again. "How shall we get down?" asked Dorothy. They found the ladder so heavy that they could not pull it up. So the Scarecrow fell off the wall, and the others jumped down upon him, so that the hard floor would not hurt their feet. Of course, they took pains not to light on his head and get the pins in their feet. When all were safely down, they picked up the Scarecrow, whose body was quite flattened out, and patted his straw into shape again. "We must cross this strange place in order to get to the other side," said Dorothy, "for it would be unwise for us to go any other way except due south." They began walking through the country of the China people, and the first thing they came to was a China milkmaid milking a China cow. As they drew near, the cow suddenly gave a kick and as they drew near, the cow suddenly gave a kick and kicked over the stool, the pail, and even the milkmaid herself, all falling on the china ground with a great clatter. Dorothy was shocked to see that the cow had broken her leg short off, and that the pail was lying in several small pieces, while the poor milkmaid had a nick in her left elbow. "There!" cried the milkmaid angrily. "See what you have done! My cow has broken her leg, and I must take her to the mender's shop and have it glued on again. What do you mean by coming here and frightening my cow?" "I am very sorry," returned Dorothy. "Please forgive us." But the pretty milkmaid was much too vexed to make any answer. She picked up her leg sulkily and led her cow away, the poor animal limping on three legs. As she left them, as she left them, the milkmaid, as she, as she left them, the milkmaid cast many reproachful glances over the shoulder at the clumsy strangers, holding her nicked elbow close to her side. Dorothy was quite grieved at this mishap. "We must be very careful here," said the kind-hearted woodman, "or we may hurt these pretty little people, so they will never get over it." A little farther on, Dorothy met a most beautiful dressed young princess, who stopped short as she saw the strangers and started to run away. Dorothy wanted to see more of the princess, so she ran after her. But the China girl cried out, "Don't chase me! Don't chase me!" She had such a frightened little voice that Dorothy stopped and said, "Why not?" "Because," answered the princess, also stopping a safe distance away, "if I run, I may fall down and break myself." "But couldn't you be mended?" asked the girl. "Oh yes, but one is never so pretty after being mended, replied the princess. "I suppose not," said Dorothy. "Now there is Mr. Joker, one of our clowns," continued the China lady, "who is always trying to stand upon his head. He has broken himself so often that he is mended in 100 places, and doesn't look at all pretty. Here he comes now, so you can see for yourself." Indeed, a jolly little clown now came walking toward them, and Dorothy could see that in spite of his pretty clothes of red and yellow and green, he was completely covered with cracks, running ever running every which way and showing plainly that he had been mended in many places. The clown put his hand in his pockets, and after puffing out his cheeks and nodding his head at them saucily, he said, My lady fair, why do you stare at poor old Mr. Joker? We are quite as stiff and prime as if you you didn't you didn't and praying as if you've you'd you didn't you'd eaten up a poker, and praying as if you'd eaten up you had eaten up a poker, and praying as if you'd eaten up a poker, as if you'd eaten up and praying as if you'd eaten up a poker, and praying as if you'd eaten up a poker. "Be quiet, sir," said the princess. "Can't you see these are strangers and should be treated with respect? With respect?" "Well, that's respect, I expect," declared the clown, and immediately stood upon his head. "Don't mind Mr. Joker," said the princess to Dorothy. "He is considerably correct in his head, and that makes him foolish." "Oh, I don't mind him a bit," said Dorothy. "But you are so beautiful," she continued, "that I am sure I could love you dearly. Won't you let me carry you back to Kansas and stand you on on 9 times mental chef. I could carry you in my basket. That would make me very unhappy, answered the China princess. You see, here in our own country we live contentedly and can talk and move around as you please. But whenever any of us are taken away, our joints at once stiffen, and you can only stand straight and look pretty. Of course, that is all that is expected of us when we are on mantel shelves and cabinets and drawing room tables, but our lives are much pleasanter here in our own country. I'll not make you unhappy for all the world, exclaimed Dorothy, so I'll just say goodbye. Goodbye, replied the princess. They walked carefully through the China country. The little animals and all the people scampered out of their way, fearing the strangers would break them. And after an hour or so, the travelers reached the other side of the country and came to another China wall. It was not as high as the first, however, and by standing upon the lion's back, they all managed to scramble to the top. Then the lion gathered his legs under him and jumped on the wall. But just as he jumped, he upset that china church with his tail and smashed it all to pieces. That was too bad, said Dorothy. But really, I think we were lucky in not doing these little people more harm than breaking a cow's leg in a church. They are all so brittle. They are indeed, said the Scarecrow, and I'm thankful I made it of straw. And I'm thankful I made of straw, and I cannot be easily damaged. There are worse things in the world than being a scarecrow. And that's the end of the chapter 20. Tomorrow we continue.